Thanks so much for taking the time to talk today, Ken. Could you tell us a little bit about how did Blue Ridge Concrete and Construction begin?
Sure. I spent 15 years as a public school teacher. During that time, I got to practice a lot of managing of moving parts. I got good at multitasking, I guess you'd say. My parents moved here a couple years ago to be close to us. My dad's done concrete all of his life. We just came up with the idea of using my managing skills, admin skills, and his concrete skills and starting this company. Starting off with residential, and we still do mostly residential, and we're starting to venture a little bit into light commercial. And yeah, it worked out really well. I did spend about 6 to 8 months in the field so I could learn the concrete industry. As a teacher, didn't really know a lot about concrete. So they said to do that. And that was great because it's really helped me to be able to talk to people, customers and potential clients about concrete and its benefits and just answer all the questions that they have. And so that's part of my role now.
That's awesome. So when did you actually start the business?
We really started, I would call it in August of 2024, probably about, sometime in August. And we just kind of got going. We started the process of removing me from the field so I could focus on marketing and selling more jobs and making sure we were lined up with insurance and everything and making sure our taxes were done properly. And so setting everything up, which was hard to do when we were both out working all day. So in August, we started that process. We found somebody to hire to take my place who was much better than me anyway. And I started working on building the back end of the business. And we got to do that for about a month and a half. And then we were hit with Hurricane Helene here in Western.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that just shut down life for a solid month. We were out of power for 17 days anyways, and then internet for a few more weeks after that. But there was just, the biggest issue was there was no water to be found. So we were out of work for a month. After just kind of getting going. And then when we started trying to get going again, concrete plants were supplying all their concrete that they could produce basically to building bridges and stuff.
So you couldn't even get the materials you needed to do the job?
It's hard to get concrete for a while. And that was once they could finally make concrete again, because when we were lacking water, that's one of the important ingredients to make concrete. So we finally got through all that anyway, and then just about in time for winter. And it was our first winter here, and it was an unusually cold, sustainably long winter, and that brings its own challenges in concrete, which we'll be more prepared to tackle this year. But just as we were just kind of getting started going, that happened. So to answer your question, we've been going, so it's August, I guess that'd be close to 10 months, but with 2 or 3 very challenging months mixed in there.
It's been a roller coaster for your first year. That's pretty crazy. How did you guys come up with the name Blue Ridge Concrete and Construction?
The Blue Ridge Mountains are a prominent feature here through Western North Carolina and a couple other states as well. There are a lot of things named Blue Ridge. Blue Ridge, everything, really. So we're Blue Ridge Concrete and Construction, and the concrete guys are always giving me a hard time because they're having to find our name because there's a lot of Blue Ridge something or other variation. So that being said, I think it's helped us in a way because it's named after a prominent feature here. I feel like that it gives us I feel like it makes it to where people think that we've been around here doing it in this area for a long time, which my dad has been doing concrete for a long time.
What your dad did he have his own company before as well?
He grew up in Michigan, and then I was in Michigan from about age 12 until after college, and then I moved down to North Carolina. He did run his own business for, I want to say, about 8 years, but he's been doing concrete for, I think, about 42 years or so, and most of those years have been working for large companies. About age 16, mostly worked for large companies as well, all the way up to a superintendent position. And then after they moved, came up with this crazy idea to put our heads together and take his talent in the field and my ability to try to manage things and create this business. So here we are.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure after 42 years of working in the field and seeing how other companies are being managed, he had a lot of ideas and things that he wanted to implement to make your guys' business, better than the competitors and stand out. What are some things that you feel you guys excel at and do better compared to some of the other concrete companies? that other people could work with?
The thing that helps us really stand out is the fact that we're blessed enough to have the two of us, one focused in the field every day and one focused in the office every day. And although we're both pulling our hair out all the time because we both fulfill kind of all the roles on each side, still it's advantageous over a lot of guys are trying to run the whole show themselves. And that's really, really tough to do both roles. We're able to give them a lot more attention. And then also my dad in the field, it's the same thing where we have a couple of guys that we can rely on pretty well, where he can step away and take some time and answer questions and talk through things with clients. And because he's been doing it so long, everyone can just tell quickly that he knows exactly what he's talking about. That's really helped us a lot to stand out.
That's awesome. That's really great that you have someone you can trust since your family.
It's easy to reach the entire family. My mom runs errands for me, drops checks off. Recently, she started Saturday morning reviews with my dad. So they go out on Saturday mornings together, drive around. I usually have about somewhere between 4 and 7 stops for them. Folks that have called in throughout the week that would like to potentially get concrete. And so I line up the route, all the stops and all the information about the people and everything. And they just did it one morning. He and I used to do it together. And then one time they went out and ran around to the jobs and they loved it. They loved the time that they were spending together. They'll stop and get breakfast or lunch depending on where they're at. And they've met a lot of really neat people. My wife, and she helps me diagnose tech problems and website stuff and everything like that. My daughter sometimes will take some photos.
Could you tell me a little bit more about what the process looks like working with you from start to finish? How does a customer become onboarded and all the way to the finished product?
They typically call in and either I answer the phone or call them back as soon as I can. And they tell me about what they're thinking about getting done, what type of concrete project. And they just kind of want a ballpark figure. I can usually calculate that fairly quickly and give them an idea. Generally, they don't usually have those dimensions though. And most times they need somebody to come out and take a look on site and see the lay of the land. We're in the mountains, so it can be slopey in a lot of places. So that plays a big role when you're trying to pour a flat concrete surface. So we do a lot of grading and excavation as part of our prep work. And so when we go out, that's one of the things we can look at, and we can look at can the concrete trucks access the site and a number of other variables. And so we meet with them and talk everything through it with them and then bring that information back. And then as soon as I get a chance to put all that information, the dimensions and the cost and everything together and all the details, I do that in our software system that we use, a customer management system, and email them the quote, and it explains everything that we do. And from that point, they can get back to me with questions or clarifications. And if they decide that they're ready to move forward, there's a link on there that they can approve and sign and put down a booking deposit. And then we've got them scheduled from that point on. And
then how long does the average project tend to take?
One of my dad's skills is to operate skid steers and excavators. When we were getting started back in the beginning of our story, we did get those two machines. We were renting for a long time. They're both Bobcat machines, so they're new and they're great, and they really help us in our business tremendously. And it's nice not to be renting them anymore, because when we ran the numbers, we were paying like 2 payments per machine a month in rentals. I would say 3, maybe 4 days for the average job.
What is your specialty job that you guys prefer to work with?
We get many more requests for standard broom finish concrete, driveways, patios. We're doing a lot of house monolithic on-grade house slabs, foundation slabs, sidewalks, curb and gutter. We're starting to get more management groups that manage shopping centers and things like that reaching out to us. And so we're just kind of starting to navigate into the commercial world. And so I'm working on learning that whole side of things now as well, because it's very different than residential. Residential side, yeah, it's mostly those driveways, sidewalks, patios, house foundations, footers. Those are the biggest ones.
Is there license requirements in your state?
No, but we do need to get certain things permitted.
You do that process for them though, right? You pull the permits, do the inspections and everything.
Sometimes they've already started the process. Or when we're working for a general contractor, they usually handle that. We'll call in the inspection. But yeah, most often they've already started the permits, but there are a good number of clients, homeowners that would prefer that we handle that. And so we do our best to at least consult them or occasionally just do it all for them and just get the information from them that we need.
The quality workmanship from people who try to DIY it, then they always make mistakes. Is there some mistakes that you see a lot in your area from other pourers or people who tried to DIY and regretted it and tried to hire you?
I haven't seen a lot of bad stuff, but we've seen a few homeowners that tried to do their own stuff, and they're laughing about it when we come out and they show us, because they know they've seen other stuff as well. But honestly, I give them kudos for trying, because it is tough. And the thing is, you can watch videos like you can with everything on YouTube to try to learn, but concrete is so much about the timing that even if you watch videos that show you how to trowel or edge, cut control joints or whatever it is, if you don't do it at the right time, it's not going to work anyways. And then, but even then, if you figure out, okay, like in one section, you figure out that it's ready to do whatever that step might be, that finishing step. Well, if that's in the sun, but over here's being shaded by a tree, or it came off the truck later, or there was a second truck that brought that load of concrete and it sat on the truck longer and spun on the truck and it got more heated up. My point being with that is that even if you try to learn from videos or whatever, the timing is still going to be really tough. So it really does. And this is when I'm still out on jobs now and then, and I watch my dad and other guys that we have come out and help us finish. I'm always in awe, because it's like they're just operating and they're seeing things that need to be seen and figured out. And it's a craft and an art form that if you just were driving by and watching people do concrete and just, think these guys are out there grunting away and, it's just about muscle and stuff like that. But it really is an art form to it. And it's really impressive once you get to understand that. And when I really got to understand that is the first time my dad handed me an edger or maybe a float, and I tried, and I was digging into the concrete and stuff. And then I would watch him do it, and he's just smooth as butter. And I would try the same thing, and it was unbelievably hard.
Is there a big price difference between you and other companies usually, or are you guys pretty competitive?
We've really been through an evolution of that since we started. And, that's really helped, because when you first start, you're just trying to book jobs and you don't really know what the market conditions are. Now, looking at an average, maybe a little bit above middle, but I wouldn't say that we're the most expensive. Our combination of where we're priced and the quality of the work is a really good spot for clients there's a lot of other great concrete companies. I don't know what their pricing is, so it's hard for me to compare that. So if I was trying to focus on which thing makes us stand out more than other, I would say it's the attention and time that we're able to give clients. Get back to people and take time with them. My dad, Jesse, he's there pretty much every day in the job, so they can really get great answers on both sides. So I just wanted to give a shout out to other businesses as well that also do good work.
When something doesn't go right on a job, how do you guys handle those types of problems that arise?
The best answer to that question is proactiveness. The things that we do on the front end, prepping the site, giving it a gravel base, and making sure that base is compacted. So we have a machine called a compactor, because that can definitely make a difference if it settles later on. That's what's under the concrete. And so we try to make sure that we're spending ample time with that prep. There are standards, ACI standards for preparation and placing and finishing and curing. That really helps to mitigate and avoid vast number of those types of problems that you listed right there. If it were to occur, I take that to Jesse, my dad, and he'll go out and visit the site, take a look at it, evaluate it, talk to the client. If it's something that needs to be remedied, and we do have a warranty that states if such and such happens or this happens, that we'll take care of it. And so anything that were to fall within that, we absolutely would take care of it. Sometimes that may require a patch. That happened too often. It was shortly after Helene, and so there was just so much flooding that I think one driveway got a little bit washed out underneath, and there was still just a little crack that really didn't even qualify under our warranty because it hadn't separated enough. But we went ahead and filled it in anyway.
Can you tell me actually a little bit more about the warranty? That was the next question. What are your warranties and guarantees that you guys have on your jobs?
A lot of concrete guys don't want a warranty at all. And their reason for that is that we don't have control over the material. The supplier, I should say, that they mixed it properly. Sometimes there can be differences if the sand was wet versus if it was dry when it was mixed, or there can be, the aggregate can be really hot or it can be really cold. The aggregate is the stone that's in the concrete. There's a lot of different variables. And so a lot of guys shy away from it because, I'd say most of the reputable companies have a warranty, but, a fair number of concrete guys, their claim with that is that they don't have control over the material, which is true. So we have a workmanship warranty that basically is going to take care of, as long as we do all the things that I listed, the preparation and the placement and the finishing and the curing properly. And most of the warranties that are similar to ours are worded a lot like ours, which is, there's a certain amount of opening or discrepancy that if it were to get to that point, which we have not had one of those, by the way. If it were to get to that point, then it's okay. We need to cut this whole section of this concrete out and re-pour it. It's hard for that to happen when you are utilizing the standards, the procedures that we do. We also always offer to homeowners or clients, whoever, if they want to go a step further, they can put steel reinforcement inside the concrete. Rebar is the most commonly used.
Do you do repair work as well?
Very little. We did more in the beginning, but as we've gotten busier and busier with new projects, our time has really dwindled down to not really have much time.
Do you have any feedback you've gotten from your customers that you think is interesting, or overall experience working with you guys?
Being able to give them time and answer questions and walk them through the process, and people appreciate that. And so I would say that that's a pretty strong theme throughout most of our reviews. I can't think of anything different that stands out other than that being a prominent theme.
But overall, I mean, it seems like your customers are really happy. You're a pretty new business, but you're growing so fast. So it's pretty impressive. Is there anything else that you wish homeowners would know before they call you?
It would be helpful for us if they knew how costly materials are, because that doesn't help us to land more jobs. When materials continue to rise, the prices, we just have to raise our prices for our services to accommodate the materials, and every job becomes more expensive then. And that's really, even though we've only been in business in this area for about a year, just looking at the rise in cost of materials over the last 5 years, I know that had we been doing the same thing we're doing now 5 years ago in the same area, our average project costs would be substantially lower. It's a large portion of the cost of a project. Concrete is more than a couple $100 a yard, and most jobs take multiple yards. A lot of people are quite well informed, just, simply for all of us, they're jumping on Google and whatever AI program they're using, ChatGPT or something, and educating themselves. And that's cool because they already have topics and things about concrete that they've already looked into a little bit, and they can inquire about them, and then I can just elaborate on top of what they've already learned. So sometimes it kind of just speeds up the process.
Appreciate you taking your time today. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you doing this with me and give me a chance to tell a little bit about our story.